Listo, dale.
Oh, okay, Lauri, now that I'm finally recording, thank you very much for taking my call today. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. Very excited about releasing new music and a lot of new gigs. It's it's
Yeah,
coming
totally.
together finally. We've been holding this secret for too long.
For how long have you been working on this new music?
Well, it's been like I think about 2 years. It always takes a long time. I'm always like thinking of, oh, this is gonna happen so fast. I have all these songs already, and when you start putting it together, it takes a surprisingly long time. But I mean, it's like today I was just listening to the mastered version of the album. So I was like the little final tweaks in the mastering and it's basically all the pieces are there. So I'm just so happy that we are starting to release these songs and videos and everything, and now also the gigs. So you know, we go
Well,
again.
well, Lauri, let me congratulate you first. And yes, I do want to begin talking about the new music because you have released two new songs so far. The most recent one is Creatures of Chaos, which has one of the heaviest riffs I have heard from the Rasmus. What led you to take this direction?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. I think in general the new Rasmus is heavier, like the first song we released and the ones that are about to come out later. Uh, so I'm really happy about the new sound. It's just I think this world deserves a little heavier sound. It's such a mesh like now, like and, and I don't know how to describe it in words, so that's why I make my music. Put all my anger in that riff, whatever. Um, I actually wrote that riff long time ago. I think like 5, 6 years ago. I was in Spain on a trip and I was just like improvising. But sometimes the ideas they take sometimes years, sometimes 10 years to develop. I have like little pieces of riffs and lyrics and melodies and stuff, and and then I just like store them somewhere in my brain, and then when it's time to write a song, I hope that the best ideas come and they somehow come together and form a song. But I'm really happy about that song. It's good example of the upcoming album.
Well, I can't wait to listen to the whole album because of all the things that you just mentioned. And for this song in particular, you're still working with Desmond Child, and you have been working with him since Black Roses. How did this work relationship with him begin?
Yeah, it was kind of magical for me because I've been a fan of his music, ever since I was a child, and like he's written all these amazing songs, and uh, I got an email from him. I think it was like 2006 or something, and like he was writing like, I'm a big fan of your music and I would love to work with you guys. I'm like, oh, this can't be true, this is a scammer or something. But it was him, and then we finally met him. Actually, we met in Dominican Republic just because, and he came to see to watch the show, and then we ended up staying like 3 days in a nice hotel and drinking rum and smoking Cuban cigars because he's half Cuban, so he brought some cigars. So how it started, and then ever since I've been a good friend with him. Not always writing songs, but just being uh, like he's kind of part of my family in a way. Like he's actually a godfather to my daughter and all things. So um, I've learned a lot, not only but about life from him. Like he's saved my ass a couple of times. Like about 3, 4 years ago, I was really depressed and I was actually going to quit the band, and I flew to meet him in Greece. He was there on a holiday, and I met him there, and I I was literally on a sofa and he was writing notes like a therapist, like I was telling him how, how anxious I was and how I wanted to quit the band and do something else with my life. And he was like saying like, no, no way, quit that shit. You have to continue this band. This is your life story. And this is the greatest creation you've ever be able to have. And like, he kind of put me back on track. And then we wrote the song about that moment when I was telling him about my shitty life and my bad feelings. And then we wrote this song called Rise that became one of the singles on the last album.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, like he's been there kind of saving my ass a couple of times. And I'm really grateful for him. He's more than just a writer. He's also part of my family.
Well, let me tell you, you left me speechless when you mentioned that you were about to quit the band. So, but so glad that you didn't, because many people love your music, and so glad to hear also that Desmond helped you with that. Well, Lauri, before moving forward to some other things, I just want to talk one last thing about Creatures of Chaos. Who came with the cute kitten cover on the art?
We have this girl from Finland. Her name is Bifu. She's an old friend actually, but I don't think we ever worked with her. I knew her abilities as a designer. She's amazing, but this was just the first time we actually worked together with her, and she's come with up a lot of stuff. Like when we start to work, it was mostly me like sending her sketches and like a lot of like hundreds of pictures, like what I'm sort of like how to describe my mood and my music. Like I always wanted to put like opposites in the same picture. Like this little kitten, for example, represents something cute and goofy almost, and then we have the evil eyes, like this kind of dark side takes over the kitten, and I just find it like funny. I think it's like fun, like I like that kind of shit. So I don't know how that really came about, but it's always a long process with this artist who make the covers. Even like let's say we had the single cover for Rest in Pieces, which was the song before this one. I contacted an illustrator called Lauri Ylönen. I think she lives in Switzerland. I've never met her, but I'm a big fan of her. I've been following her on Instagram. She's doing these amazing drawings, mostly this kind of girls that's on the cover. And so I wrote to her like, I would really like to work with you, and then she turned out to be a fan of the Rasmus, And she said even when she was younger, when she used to go to school, she told everybody to call her Lauri, like my name, instead of Laura, because she was like such a big fan of me. And it was kind of meant to be that I was going to work with her. And then I sent her different photos and pictures I found from internet. And of course, the music, I sent her the song, and like, you can have free hands, that this is kind of the world that I'm after. And then she came up with the artwork, and which I think is just super cool. It's totally in style of her, but also it's in the style of the Rasmus. So I think it was just a perfect match. And these kind of stories, and things happen, it's like destiny kind of, it's the fate that just put stuff out there, and keep your ears and eyes open and be receiving, and things will happen to you. That's nice.
Yeah, there are no coincidences in life. It's all fate.
I know.
That's such a cool story, Lauri. Well, now that we have talked about the latest single, I do want to know at the beginning of the interview, you mentioned that yes, you just listened to the masters of the album. So tell me what's next? Which are the plans for the Rasmus album?
Yeah, we have plenty of plans. We've been like putting this together for months already. So the gun is loaded, so to speak. We have little surprises coming like all year this year, and so I don't want to say too much. Just I don't want to even describe the album too much. Like I just said, it's going to be heavier than before, but I think there's a time later on that we can talk more about the album. But it's
Okay.
coming. It's ready.
Okay. Lauri, our time is almost over, but I do want to approach the last couple minutes to have a final question because as I mentioned, coincidence don't exist. And a couple of weeks ago, I was talking with my girlfriend about how bands from Finland, like you and him, Nightwish, Apocalyptica, became huge here back in the day and are still very beloved. What happened over there in Finland's musical scene during those years at the early 2000s that let you be heard here in America?
That's a good question. Um, I I don't know exactly the answer, but I think one of the reasons that is like there was a scene in Finland. A lot of bands were singing in English, and there was kind of like more international way of thinking. Uh, that if I compare it to what it is now, unfortunately, I think in Finland a lot of artists are told by the record labels to sing in Finnish because it's easier to go to the radio. Everybody knows your language, and I think it happens all over the world. Like in in Mexico, like you have a lot of Spanish music because most people understand Spanish. It makes sense, but it's just like I don't think we've had that international way of thinking after these bands broke, which is kind of strange because we are still kind of celebrated. All these bands you said are the biggest bands from Finland, but that was like 20 years ago. Where are the new bands? Come on, we need some new blood here. So, it's I think it's not totally dead, but we should do better. I think I hope that young kids and people start grabbing the guitar more and like kind of going the old fashioned way. But I think gotta say like now the metal scene especially has been rising. Like there's something happening in America, like especially in North America, like these bands kind of putting this type of music back on the map a little bit more. And it seems like that always kind of helps the rest of the world a little bit. Like rock has not been very trendy music for a couple of 20 years maybe. And it seems like maybe it's coming back again, and I hope that encourages, guys to start making new music. But yeah, I don't know the reason. I just think why the Finnish bands became popular were the fact that there was something exciting um, between the Finns and the Latin American guys, Mexicans. Like something was off enough, to be kind of opposites to each other. Something made it attractive for us to be there and for you to see us. So it was kind of a magic in the air somehow.
Totally. Lauri, thank you very much for your time. I had a pleasure talking to you, and I hope to meet you in Mexico in December.
Yes, let's hook up. Okay, thanks a lot.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.